Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, good Monday morning. Everyone is talking about this New York Post article. The headline is Chicago gangbangers rage against newly arrived Venezuelan migrants as Tren de Agua moves in. The city is going up in flames. And I can tell you, if any of you were at Riot Fest, we know someone who listens to the show. It's right. We know somebody who listens to the show who had a little bit of a problem over the weekend at Riot Fest. So they were parking their car on the city street, okay? Do you have a city sticker? He had a city sticker. And a Venezuelan allegedly came up to him and said, that'll be $20. And he said, I'm not paying. I pay taxes. I paid for my city sticker. I'm parking on the street. And the Venezuelan from Tren de Agua said to him, if you don't pay me $20, I'm going to blow up your car. And guess what happened?
Wow.
They set his car on fire because he didn't pay $20. He said, and for those of you who know how much I love my car, you know that this really hurts. No arrests have been made, and that's just an example of how this city is literally going up in flames.
It's true.
So with more on this, let's welcome back to the program. I don't know if you've been on the morning show ever before.
Not the morning show.
Tyrone Muhammad, excuse me.
Yeah.
He is the founder for Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you so much for coming in.
And Ex-Cons for Trump.
Ex-Cons for Trump. Ex-Cons-for-Trump.com. I see the hat and I see the T-shirt. So, so you're living on the South Side right now.
Yes.
And just tell me what you're noticing with these Venezuelan gangs.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And it's unfortunate, Amy, Dan being my friend, we got ran through the ringers together about me supporting him with the campaign. And I haven't heard from Dan. So and he hasn't had me on the show before you, Amy. So I'll tell Dan I'm gonna call you, man. We're gonna.
So you and Dan had a falling out?
No, I haven't. No,
because I don't want any more text messages from Ireland ripping on me for having guests on the show.
So, but when we start talking about the governor's campaign, I helped Dan distribute a lot of the information and press.
You mean for Darren Bailey?
Yeah, for Bailey.
Okay.
So.
Well, we're not here to talk about that.
That we won't. But I got beat up.
Yeah,
so I support who I want to support. I'm free.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about these Venezuelan gangs and what is really happening.
Well, anytime you allow terrorists in our communities, and that's what I'm gonna call them, to go unchecked, you understand? We don't know who's coming in and out of our country, and unfortunately, it seemed to be the majority of the terrorist migrants are placed in black communities and communities that's already disinvested, that's already broken, that's already inundated with a gang culture and a level of poverty, right? Gang, drugs, and violence. And then you release men unchecked, unmonitored, into communities that's already feel violated.
Wow.
Now, it's on the community now, it seems, to deal with this issue. And that's what it's been. We've been constantly monitoring how the effect of this mass influx of terrorism and I'm going to keep calling it that because that's what's going to happen ultimately because we don't know who these people is. I don't believe that everybody coming through that border is purely just gangbangers.
Right.
We have to take public safety serious. And with no checks and balance of these men, of course, they have to find common ground to migrate to their own culture, language, and crews and cliques. And we have found that a lot of these guys are integrating into gang culture that's already here,
right?
While bringing their own culture inside of it,
right?
So, are there any examples of them saying taking over apartment complexes or sections of certain neighborhoods?
Yes, absolutely. It seemed to be a lot of vacant apartments and vacant buildings. and we know personally that they have taken boards off. They have seized buildings and proceeded to clean them up and occupy them. But just to be able to stand outside of a block, a community as a organized group, it's an indication, or it's a stamp to say, this is our hood. We here, we're congregating, and then now you get into the fabric of the community.
Have you guys had any contact or any interactions with?
Yeah, I've had. Not, you don't know who's who,
right?
But we see them. We familiar with our Latin folks, our Latin disciples, and a Latin King group and brothers we've spent prison time with, and we. But
I'm talking about the terrorists you talking about.
But I can't say who's who because they merged. They Spanish speaking.
But are they taking over, like the Tren de Agua? Are they taking over?
It hasn't been that apparent.
Yeah.
You see, they it's already gang, drugs, and violence in Chicago.
Right.
So you don't know who's who and who. So if I'm a group and if I'm a Latin King, and we're bringing men into our organization, then the Latin folks is gonna feel like, hey, we have to do the same thing in order to keep up.
Wow.
So now you integrate these gangs, you're making the culture worse, and you're about to see a lot of bloodshed in effect, because now you're talking about territorial dispute as well as dividing community.
Well, outside of the Standard Club alone, there were 720 police incidents reported. In the past 12 months.
Yes.
And I mistakenly took a wrong turn last summer and walked in front of the Standard Club. I ran. There was 4 cop cars. I ran from cop car to cop car, saying, I got to get off this block. It was so. It's like I entered a war zone
downtown,
and they were
streets.
screaming at each other. And there was a black group to the right selling stuff, and then these guys were out there drinking, selling stuff. It was so scary.
Well, you have to understand that there's open drug market and prostitution downtown Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
If you go down Randolph, and a lot of these communities, I'm telling you, downtown Chicago is an open drug market and an open prostitute ring of women in alleys.
Wow.
And children hanging out on corners.
Oh, yeah.
And then the very fact and very nature that you can have these babies, and I bless these little children hard because they don't have no idea.
Yeah.
Their parents are using them as props to hustle money and collect money, even while we're paying.
I know.
And how is that even legal to use your children in the dangerous Chicago, on the streets of Chicago, in the in the roads?
I know. I've been
corners?
complaining about this because there's a mom at California and Western. And this kid, he's a toddler, and he keeps running out, and she keeps grabbing him like, oh, girlfriend, I mean, are you trying to get your child killed? But they don't know. And then this other homeless guy said they take their EBT cards, buy water, gum, and candy, and then sell it, and then pocket that money to buy whatever they want, because you can only buy certain things with an EBT card.
Right.
You can't buy.
Or I've seen it where they stand outside the store.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they say, hey, give me $20. You could go buy $50 worth of stuff. And things of that nature. And I've even had them approach me with that before, and I said, no, I wouldn't.
So is this just another reminder why we have to vote for President Trump to stop this? Because I know they're in the black neighborhood. They're also in the white neighborhood. We have the old British school. We have a group of their Venezuelans, Hondurans, trashing Montrose Beach. They're right across the street from Montrose Beach. And I'll even say like, oye, póngate tu basura. And they're like, and say something and then walk away. I mean, they have trashed our open areas.
Wow.
Because in their culture, they don't pick up garbage. I mean, you've been to Mexico. Well, it's not Mexicans, I'm sorry. But you've been to third world countries. I mean, I was in Haiti too. They don't care. Their whole island is garbage. And they have so much garbage, and they start burning the garbage.
Right.
And it's just so strange how we're just forcing their culture onto American citizens who we're giving them rent money. We're paying for we're driving them to and from the doctor's office. We are putting them in our schools. And there's 118 different languages that they're speaking.
But on both sides, we talk public safety. Whether you're on the Republican or Democratic side, we talk public safety. Here we are with 18,000 homeless ex-cons living in Chicago.
18,000.
18,000. You have homes even these men have paid their debt to society. And you wonder why recidivism rate is the way it is. If I'm already homeless after being housed for years in prison with your tax dollars, then you release me back on society, often worse than when I went in, because there's no reformation in prison. Yeah. Now I got to victimize the citizens because the correctional institutions didn't do their job on that end because they're not made for correction. Those are warehouses. So now you release them back on the citizens. So we didn't spend our money well in prison, although we keep talking about lock them up. Lock them up to return them back to society to victimize you again if you never, and now you got housing for criminals coming across the border, but you have no housing for men who've actually been penalized for crimes, and these people, they in prison, released from prison, and they never served their time.
And I take it that's why you started ex-cons for Trump, because you want Trump to really understand and get this message. So tell us in your own words.
So in my own words, ex-cons for Trump, we talk about the Clinton 94 crime bill, ushered in as well by Joe Biden, that ushered in mass incarceration of black men and boys in our community and women. Because black women now are one of the fastest growing population in prison. Believe it or not. Really? And that should be an outrage. But anyway, while they talking about Kamala Harris, that's what she need to be talking about. So with that being said, Trump ex-cons for Trump under Trump First Step Act, he released thousands of black men back into the communities to be with their families because of the excessive sentences due to the Clinton 94 crime bill. And the thing I'm perplexed about is that his administration, the Republicans, the narrative of all the black men that Trump has released, that they don't even tap into the very culture and nature of the graciousness of these men in these communities.
Right.
And so ex-cons for Trump is that pushback to say we are not going to be systemically incarcerated in our own neighborhood by a party. For 60 years, we have been hook, line, and sinker voted blue no matter who as a community of black people. And and Democrats have not served our communities at all. So here we are now as black men who have the lowest unemployment rate, who are the most incarcerated, who are the least likely to be educated, and we're not working in these jobs. And then here come migrants on top of all the issues and ills that Democrats have allowed to happen to us in our communities. Here come an influx of migrants to take our jobs. Trump didn't lie. You're taking black jobs. If you want to be sensitive about it, that's your problem. That's your fault. But he didn't lie. Yeah. He just may not be the best surrogate to say it. I can say it. You taking black jobs.
Is Kamala Harris black?
No, absolutely not. I told who told you?
Janet Jackson, by the way. Janet Jackson did an interview over the weekend.
Yeah,
she said she's not black.
Yeah, she got.
And she said her dad is Irish. Well, because on his birth certificate he put Indian and Irish.
They playing identity politics and gender politics, and if we allow that to happen based on the issue, so if I focus on gender politics, identity, and color, then we're not focusing on the issues that she don't have an answer to.
Now, there's a certain former presidential candidate that's taken notice of the message of ex-cons for Trump, and you got an event coming up, correct?
Yeah, so we have Wednesday, we're doing the press conference because we're watching at the Trump Towers. We're doing the press conference
outside Trump Towers?
Outside, and then we're going at 5 o'clock, at 4 o'clock Wednesday. Then we're going inside at the Rebar at 5 to just organize and gather and mingle ex-felons. And the political, I'm getting Bogorovich. Come on, Crossman, come on through. Bogorovich is a member of ECCSC, ex-cons for Community and Social Change.
Wow.
So we're doing ex-cons for Trump, march to Mar-a-Lago. We want Trump to know that 20 million ex-cons are in America.
Yeah,
20 million ex-cons are in America.
And if you add just as involved individuals, people that may not have been in jail but had to brush with the law and probation or parole, that's 80 million. Trump win the presidency off of that population alone. In all of these swing states where we're able to vote.
Are you set up
but
in all
can
these
I'm pretty much in 8 states. We are my organization, but ex-cons for Trump is building across the country. And we are going from we're mobilizing to say, we're marching to Mar-a-Lago to say, see, Secret Service can't even protect Trump. All the ills, the attempted assassination, we let them know you got a standing army right here.
Wow.
If you will only if they will only get out your way, Trump, I don't know who his surrogates are, but you're not galvanizing the black vote in the communities.
But you're not marching to Mar-a-Lago.
We going to Mar-a-Lago. We're going to be there.
Okay.
We're going to be outside, and we're going to generate and draw the press and generate the buzz enough to make, even if he don't, someone with some sense to say, hey, we have to do better. And this is why the Republicans get their butts kicked in black communities, because they have poor messaging. They don't know how to. They always get these token individuals that don't speak for the grassroots black people. So we have to figure out, they need a balance to understand that prisons aren't going anywhere. Yeah. So no matter how much you talk about it, go ahead.
A lot of people think that ex-felons cannot vote, but that is not true.
I'm going to tell you this.
7 states you can't.
7 states, and most of them 7 states are Republican states. My goal is also to get them in their voters' rights back and and encourage.
7 states. Can you tell us what ones they are?
Arizona.
I'll look it up.
You could.
Is it Florida too?
Florida.
Yeah.
See, that's why Democrats can use that and say Republicans violate ex-felons every day. Yeah. They don't even restore their voting rights back. So now here's a president who released ex-cons due to the First Step Act. And then you have other red states that's violating ex-felons. Right. That can actually make a difference in the polls. Right. And I just hope that this movement and this push ex-cons for Trump help President Trump to see, and those who support him to see, that we're missing a great opportunity. And if they keep doing what they're doing, they lose this election, it would be their fault because they didn't tap into all of the voters' base. Wow.
If people want more information about your organizations, I know exconsfortrump.com.
Trump.com is there, but as far as our violence prevention, reentry, workforce development program, that's ECCSC, that's ex-cons for community and social change. You can go to ecccsc.org. That's ecccsc.org, and then that's TyroneMuhammad.com.
All right, Tyrone Muhammad, good luck with your event on Wednesday, and I think you're going to be on with Dan Abrams later today, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll
tonight,
be watching tonight. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Exercise and a healthy diet can help, but that can be hard, especially as we start to get older. It's like the choice between taking the stairs or waiting for the elevator. Sometimes the easier option can be tempting. But just like choosing to take